Chairman, first of all, can I thank BMI and Liberty for organizing this meeting, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Last month, when there was a debate in the House of Lords on faith schools, I said that why don't people speak the truth? We have 25,000 schools, and we've had 4,500 Christian schools, and rightly so. We've got 39 Jewish schools, and rightly so. And we've got Hindu and Sikh schools that are state-funded. The real issue was not about other faith schools. It was because 7 Muslim schools had been given state funding. And I said, if the only way that the Muslim community in Britain can raise the standard of education is by sending their children to these schools that have raised the 5 GCSEs grade A to C from 25 to 30% in state-run schools to 80% and in some cases 100% pass rate in 5 GCSEs. Why shouldn't they get state funding for those schools where they have an excellent standard of education? But the real issue in terms of this community cohesion, that we should have 25% of other faith children in religious faith schools, was not about any other school other than Islamic schools. And the truth is, I said, let's start with Eton and Harrow. Let's have some working class people, 25% of those in these schools. And let's also make sure that state-run schools in East London, in Birmingham or Bradford, where there's 98% ethnic minorities, let's try and find 25% of white indigenous people who want to come and send their children to those schools. And later on we found a compromise by the government. Niqab, veil, everybody talked about it. Frankly, there's a debate within the Muslim community whether it is compulsory, whether we have it or not. And I can't see anybody in this hall wearing a niqab or a veil. But the sad thing is, the way this debate took place, when Prime Minister starts to talk about a classroom assistant, when the former foreign minister, but all the foreign secretary and all the cabinet ministers, but even more importantly, my good friend Phil Wallace, who I actually went and campaigned for during the elections, as minister responsible for race relations, when he says that the young woman needs to be sacked, well, that should have been a contempt of court, because it was sub judice and this case was in the court. And that's why it becomes offensive, because the responsibility of the government is to raise standards of education. The responsibility of the government is to make sure they end isolation of the Muslim communities and other ethnic minority communities. Whether it is deprivation, social exclusion, unemployment, underachievement that we've been talking about. We didn't see any of that. What we hear is the Prime Minister talks about this false sense of grievance. Well, tell me, when people ask questions of what happened in Lebanon, why did our government not call for unconditional and immediate ceasefire? Why did not our government... 600,000 people killed in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Gaza, the continuous siege of Gaza and West Bank. Is that a false sense of grievance? Well, whenever there's a talk of the extremists, it is all linked with these young people who are feeling aggrieved about those that are attacking our way of life. This is an attack on democracy and our way of life. I want to say final word, because my 5 minutes will be up. 2.5 million Indians signed up to fight against the fascists and the Nazis during the Second World War. Many thousands of those were Muslims. There were many Muslims who died for this country, and their graves are in Woking, their graves are in France and in North Africa. We fought for this country. We fought for this country's democracy and the way of life that Mr. Tony Blair talks about. Let us see how many of his relatives gave their life for this country like we did. Thank you.